Mary Ann, all 7 are here, and I think all of our staff are on. So it's
6:30?
It is, but just whenever you want to start.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We have the Pledge of Allegiance. Cheyenne is going to lead us in the pledge. So, Cheyenne, are you there?
I am.
Okay.
Okay. Attention, salute, flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
You gotta work on that.
We're all trying to talk.
And Mr. Frazier is going to offer our invocation.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
give me another chance. Thank you very much. Let's bow. Dear Lord, we come to you with heavy hearts today because of the many problems that our nation and the world is facing over the coronavirus. Father, we pray for your divine intervention in this matter, that we'll be rescued and that this virus will terminate quickly and soon. Father, in times we feel just totally out of control is when we learn to depend on you for a source of strength and comfort. We await your direction and your blessings upon our land. We're honored to be a part of this board meeting tonight. On behalf of the Gatesville Independent School District, we pray that you will bless each board member and bear it as we lead this meeting, that all decisions be made in accordance with your will and for the good of our school district and the children who attend our schools. We thank you, we honor you as the God of the universe, and we praise our Lord Jesus for his sacrifice on behalf of each one of us. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Linda is going to read the mission.
Okay. The mission of Gatesville ISD, a portal of limitless possibilities, is to empower our students to be life-ready knowledge seekers and problem solvers by instilling leadership, innovation, integrity, critical thinking, and service through challenging and engaging learning experiences facilitated by passionate teachers and supported by caring parents and community members.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Mayor, did you have any comments emailed to you to be read?
Your script, don't read the script.
No, I'm going to read my little script first, just to remind everyone, but I'm checking my email inbox as we speak, and I don't see anything. But on March 16th, Governor Abbott granted a request by Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conferencing meetings in response to COVID-19. In accordance with those suspended rules, we certify the following. Notice of this meeting was posted online for at least 72 hours. We also had members, although they're not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance tonight at this meeting by video conference. We're using Zoom and live streaming software. Audience members may email comments for the open comments section to bpollard@gatesvillisd.org, which allows for two-way communication with the public. For members of the public who've submitted written comments in advance, the superintendent will read the comments into the public comment section or during the board's consideration of that item. If you'd like to provide a comment at a future meeting conducted by video conference or telephone call, please follow the instructions on that meeting notice. All other meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent practical. An audio and video recording of this meeting is being made available and be available to the public at a later date, just like we do with all of our board meetings. And we apologize in advance for any unforeseeable technological difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate through these unprecedented conditions. If you have questions about the laws, you can contact the Office of the Attorney General. So Again, looking at my email for comments, I don't see any at this time. And so I think we can proceed to the next item.
All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions about that? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Oh, Mary Ann, can I make one, I'm sorry.
We have some several checks for, copier meter use. Are we still leasing machines, or I thought we bought a bunch of copiers, we still leasing too much, or what's the deal on the, meter usage?
These charges are the monthly maintenance agreement.
Okay.
We have a meter click charge, and that meter click includes the maintenance on the machines, as well as all toner and supplies. So if we like have a repair machine, it doesn't cost us anything, it's part of that fee.
Mary Ann, before y'all go any further, I also wanted to talk a little bit about one item in the consent agenda, and that was the summer school dates. Just to draw your attention to, it's a little bit different this year. So, because we didn't have STAR, that's a good thing. We don't have 5th grade SSI summer school or 8th grade or STAR EOC, all three of those, we don't need them. And because things are so kind of up in the air, we're not looking at Jumpstart this year, but we're looking at more of a just kind of a traditional summer school. And so that would be in the first little part of June. It would be for students who maybe have an incomplete or failing grade, and that would be another opportunity for them to fix that. And so, again, that would probably be remote, just like we're doing now, or you could get you a paper packet. But again, that's to help kids that maybe still have an incomplete or a failing. Same with high school credit recovery. We do that every year. So again, students can work on credits from home. We have the Edgenuity program, and so they can recover credits that way. And then finally, we're waiting on ESL summer school for our little ones, pre-K through 1st grade. They typically have a 120-hour program. That's about 3 full weeks of summer school. And we're waiting on the state to give us some guidance on whether or not we're going to do that or not. As of last week, before Governor Abbott's announcement, they said, well, let's go ahead and keep that on the schedule. But now that Governor Abbott has suspended school in a physical building for the rest of the year, they may be going to, adapt that a little bit. The ESY summer school are for kids in special education, and so there's a couple of students that will have that in their IEP, and we can do that by remotely too. So that's kind of the plan right now for summer school.
Are there any other questions or comments about the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve it?
Make a motion.
Kaiser?
Cheyenne? Okay, Cheyenne. Is there a second?
Linda, I'll second it.
Okay.
Linda will second it. Okay, any more questions? All those in favor, can you just say your name and what your vote is, I guess? Or-
Brenda, yes.
I know you know. Okay.
David, yes.
Okay.
Charles, yes.
Linda?
Linda,
I said
yes.
yes.
Okay, Mary Ann, yes. Okay, motion carries. Let's go on. And we're moving to information items. There's an update on school meals.
Well, we've got some good news for you guys on several fronts here with the school meals. So, last time we talked, we were having some tough decisions because the U.S. Department of Agriculture kind of came back and up into Texas and said, we're not going to reimburse you for a lot of these meals you're giving students, specifically on the weekend. But now they've, I think, come over so much scrutiny and pressure from the public that they have come back and said, now we're going to reimburse breakfast, lunch, and evening on Saturday and Sunday. And so that's a great thing for kids who are in need, and there's a lot of families that have taken advantage of that because it's just times are tough, a lot of unemployment and things like that. One added little bit of, record keeping. We talked a little bit last time about is there abuse of the system, and I guess the Texas Department of Agriculture and USDA wanted us to, all districts, to kind of consider either making sure that the kids are with the parents when they come to pick up the meals, or instead of having the kid with you, the parent could show some sort of proof that you do have children. And so that could be a birth certificate, a report card, enrollment paperwork, anything like that. And I told our staff that hands out the food, if they don't have a child with them and they waive some of that documentation at you, that's good enough. I don't want a whole bunch of back and forth with papers and all that, because we're trying to keep that back and forth down to a minimum. Last thing with meals here, last time since we talked, we keep trying to limit the amount of exposure and interaction our staff has with just the public during this meal time, as the number of cases of COVID increase in the town and county. And so right now they serve 2 times during the day, once from 8 to 9 in the morning, and then again from 11 to 1. We cut out that 4 o'clock one because some of our cafeteria managers were working 10+ hour days. And so, again, that was just too much. Now, starting on Monday, April 27th, a week from now, we're going to start serving the same amount of food. So no reduction in food, but we're going to serve it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on those 3 days, there'll be one time from 10:30 to 1. A lot of districts are reducing, again, the amount of time that they have people out there, that they have back and forth with the public, because it's just a risk. And so we think, though, this is a good happy medium. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every other day. Again, if it's a Monday, you'd pick up enough food for Monday and Tuesday. If it's Wednesday, you pick up enough for Wednesday and Thursday. If it's Friday, you pick up enough for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And again, it's during that one big middle section of the day from 10:30 to 1. That's really kind of the high traffic area right now anyway, during the food time. And so, Gail, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that? Gail, you're on mute. Let me unmute you here. There you go. Now you're unmuted.
It'll also help the staff and volunteers as this continues to go on and on. It kind of starts wearing you down, but this will give everybody a little bit of break and stay fresh. Today we served 1,510 meals between the 2 campuses, and that's bags that have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we served quite a few meals every day. And we don't anticipate this going down. We just anticipate bundling it better so that there's less handling between the preparers and the parents.
So again, just to piggyback on what Gail said, same amount of food or even more food available, because we've got all the breakfast, lunch, and evening meals on the weekends, just a shortened amount of time to get it. So there's less interaction between people, because, you know, you probably read in some of these other districts where, you know, there's just a risk of contracting something if there's a lot of give and take between people. Go ahead, Rob.
How does the number of meals we're serving now, how does that compare to the average day in schools in session?
Good
I
question.
haven't looked at it lately, but the last time you asked the question, Mr. Frazier and I looked and compared to a day in November when all 5 campuses were serving all 3 meals, and we were at half, which is pretty realistic because our free and reduced is around 50 to 52%. So we felt like we were right in line with where we should be.
Just curious.
Question.
Go ahead, David.
Barrett, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, David.
On identifying the kids when they come through, don't the kids all have a card that they use in the cafeteria to get their food?
It stays on campus.
The card does?
Yeah, it usually stays in the classroom or in the cafeteria, and it's handed out. Otherwise, some of the kids stand in line and chew on their card while they're waiting for
They know them very well. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, that's all we had on the school lunch update.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to the high school renovation. Scott?
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Marker?
What you have is an outline presented on the budget agenda item sheet. And so you can read what was on there. These are the top of the highlights. I'm just going to go over some of the changes since this was sent out. On that first one about the MDF, the main distribution frame, we're still waiting on the Valcom switch to come in, but they sent us the specifications, so we're already learning about the system. This is our intercom system that they're wiring in to the office area and to the other part of the campus. So we're learning about that system now. The new offices, which is Unit B, when you look at that big, the schematics, the blueprints, it's going pretty quickly, staying on schedule. The cement out front has been poured, and so now we're going to have pavers come in. They're going to add pavers to it, and so it's going to start looking like the finished product once those pavers come in. And the AC installations on top of the roof have already been installed. We're going to get the AC testing going here pretty quick. You can see under the current delivery delays, the light fixtures have all come in, but we're still having some trouble with the tile and some of the interior doors, but we do expect them to be in time. Then we have to create an RFP for the electronic access whenever you want to slide your car through to get in and out of the building. So that part, Masonic will put in the pathway, but we're responsible for getting the cabling and the system that we want to use. And so we'll be sending out for bids on an RFP for that. The abatement is completed. They finished up Saturday, and so that looks like the demolition has already begun. That's the abatement process, and so they're complete. We did find a new area that needs some abating when the plumber was going overhead to tie in some of the water. So we have to come back with another area, about 30 foot of area that has to be abated. But then there's that hallway between the old gym and the auditorium is also still hot. Now we weren't going to touch it at first, but since we have to touch 30 feet of it, we decided to go ahead and just finish up that hallway so everything will be abated when this whole project is through. Electrical service they're going to be pulling the wire this week, not this week, on the 27th is when they energize. They're going to set the transformer, and they're going to have a crane out in Texas, Mexico, set the transformer on the outside of the building, and then they'll finish connecting it up with the inside, so it'll be energized pretty quick. And so the new office area is going to have AC and electricity, and that sort of stuff going on. The demolition is scheduled to mobilize on the 27th, and now that school is closed, they won't have to worry about being so gentle with it. They're going to come in and separate what's going to stay and what's going to be demolished, and then they'll just come in with a big demolishing steel ball and just start dropping it on top of it and excavating it out. And so there's going to be a lot of truck traffic going through the back and hauling that stuff away. Demolition is expected to take about 3 weeks to finish, so it's all moving pretty well, I believe. You see the street patch work at the bottom. That's really not connected directly to the renovation, but the city was coming out to patch Lovers Lane and Marshall where we had dug and laid the new water line. And since they were patching the street, having to repair some of the street curves, we thought this was a good time to go ahead and get the junior high driveway fixed. There's always those two big puddles when you enter and when you exit. All the water Lovers Lane seems to kind of droop down and sag, and it pools right there. And so we've already got started on it. One side has already been poured, and so hopefully we won't have that big puddle, and cars will be able to traffic through there much easier. But that's already in progress and expected to be through by May 1st, because we thought we might be coming back to school, so we kind of expedited and tried to hurry up so that we would be through by May 4th, and so that we're working and getting it done. So that's what's going on right now with the update. Any other specific questions about the construction?
Oh. No?
We're excited for you guys to see the office suite. It's looking good. They've done a lot of work in there.
The windows look good from the outside.
Yes.
That glass will be put in. They're getting the glass and the pavers in. So the outside at the end of this week should look like it's going to look on the finished product. And if you guys want to walk through they're gonna walk through with you, so we can, let us know when you're coming in and we'll walk through with you. We can kind of point out what the different offices are and, you know, what there might be, what they're going to be in the future. And they finish up.
Did they do it on the junior high driveway? Did they do anything with the elevations, or did they just go in there and put cement in?
No, they raised them up. They want the flow of water to get out of there more quicker, so you had the crown of the road had water coming off of it, and the water from the driveway was coming in, pooling, and then Lover's Lane also pulled from the other direction. So all four way directions went to that low spot. And so they leveled it off so that the water would flow off and shed off quicker.
There won't be a lake there now.
We hope not.
They might move the lake somewhere else, right? Cause a problem elsewhere.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Moving on to the projected reimbursement for Medicaid school health and related services. Frazier?
Okay. You guys know, of course, that the district is able to bill the government for Medicaid reimbursements. This is for health-related services that we provide to eligible children enrolled in special education. This has become a significant form of reimbursement for our school. We began this program in 2013, 2014. At that time, we were part of the Heart of Texas Co-op over in McGregor. We since, in the summer of 2017, left that particular co-op and began operating special education under our own umbrella. And at that same time, we also selected a different company, which is called ISD Consulting, that processes all these reimbursements and assists also with the preparation of the cost report. MSB, there's quite a lag between the time that you submit the reimbursements and the time that you actually submit the cost report and receive a settlement payment from the government. They have sped this up, and the general time frame now is reimbursements, for instance, on the current year, well, 2019. So we go back 1 year, similar to the audit report of 2019. The audit ends August 31 of 2019. SHARS, on the other hand, their year ends September 30, so they go an additional month after our report. So the 2019 report is prepared and submitted by April the 1st. They have given us a 6-week delay in that time frame, that deadline. However, we have already submitted the report for 2019. And the report as submitted looks like we'll be expecting a settle-up payment of about $475,000. And if you add that payment with the current payments, that was the total will be about $735,000, thereabouts. The reimbursement, the settle-up, typically will be coming to us January and February of next year, 2021. So part of my report to you is the SHARS reimbursement for the 2019 cost report. And because we've had some issues with the 2018 report, once I've given you the figures for 2019, I'm going to go back now and use this opportunity to explain to you what happened with the 2018 report. 2018, which again, that would be ending September 30 of 2018. That report was actually the first cost report that was completely done, from the billing all the way through the cost report by MSB Consulting. Now that we've submitted our cost report for 2019, we're still subject to an audit and desk reviews and appeals and et cetera. So the 2018 went through an audit starting around the 1st of September last fall. And during the period of that audit, it was discovered that MSB had made erroneous calculations and doubled up on subtotals to the tune of about $150,000. So the $850,000 that we were projecting got reduced to $700,000 right away due to those errors. The HHSC included the audit and then quickly went into a desk review from the folks down in Austin. And they went back and forth, and now we were overlapping the Thanksgiving holidays and the Christmas holidays, and they were very much in a hurry to get this thing wrapped up. So it wasn't really complete, but they just arbitrarily ended their review and completely disallowed all of our transportation costs by reducing what's called the trip ratio from what should have been about 78% to zero. That amount of money was about $177,000. So we were very much wronged in the process, but they were in a hurry to get it done before the first of the year, and I guess they felt like too bad for us. If you want to appeal it, you can. So if you appeal, that's your prerogative. The appeal process is kind of lengthy and it's going to take a while. We have already issued to HHSC our disagreement with their settle-up payment, and also have requested an appeal. So we've had one phone call with our attorney and HHSC's attorney with the judge that will be involved in the appeal. And basically that phone call was just to set the date of the appeal, which will be July 23rd this summer. So here again, we are disputing about $177,000 worth of reimbursements. We feel like we have a strong case because they really didn't have a leg to stand on while reducing our transportation costs down to zero. And so therefore we're gonna fight it to the end. Everyone is involved from our perspective, including MSB, feels like we'll probably prevail and we'll get that $177,000 back more than likely next fiscal year. So that's the story about the 2018. So the $850,000 originally that we had budgeted for this fiscal year included that settle-up payment. And when they cut the payment, it brought it all the way down to $500,000. So I mentioned the $850 was reduced to $700 based on the errors that were made, just mathematical errors in the processing of numbers. And then HHSC came back and disallowed another $177,000, which brought it down to about $500. So at $500,000, if we lose the appeal, we're in effect going to experience a $350,000 reduction in the budget for this fiscal year as far as payments from this program. Not a happy thought, but we are optimistic about the recovery of that $177,000, and we will proceed with that. It's ironic that the amount, true amount, took out the errors. The true amount would have been around $700,000 instead of $850,000. And for the 2019 report, we're expecting $735,000. So it does appear that from an ongoing basis, we're probably looking at about $700,000 in terms of reimbursements from the SHARS program year in and year out at the current levels. So I'll be happy to entertain any questions that you have concerning the issue with the 2018. or the 2019 report. I have given to you on page 70, the board book, a complete histogram by fiscal year of how these reports play out. So you see the 2013-2014 report was the first one that we submitted, and the total reimbursement from that report was $165,000. You see that row on page 70? So that's where we began. The next year that went up to 301, 311, 352, and then we thought it was going to be 830. HHSC says it should be 5. We say now it should be 678. So you see the 2017 8, 3 rows. 1, as was originally submitted. 2, as has been audited. And 3, as a result of a successful appeal. And then the next row is the 2018-2019, which has just now been submitted, and that we're expecting 734,848 total for that year. So the program's grown, and I think we can pretty much expect realistically in the 700,000 range a year. Any questions? No?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Welcome.
Are you ready for the summer feeding program?
Mary Ann,
You are.
one thing I was going to add to that, Daryl said, that the SH organization, they would do things like email Daryl and his staff 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning and say, we need, all kinds of reports and things done by 5 o'clock that day. And so it's almost like they were intentionally trying to undermine, the ability to give them the information. And so we're pretty confident, we hope that we'll be able to show the hearing officer that they did not conduct themselves in a very professional manner. And so we're hoping to get a good result from that.
And they played hardball.
Yeah.
They weren't easy to deal with for sure.
Sorry, Daryl, go ahead.
It's okay. All right, so we're going to be doing a summer feeding program again this year for 2020. And this program began several years ago, back in June of 11, I guess is the first time. We served 5,000 meals that year. And that's grown now to last summer, we were able to serve 19,000 meals in 2019. So we are anticipating the program to be pretty much run like we usually do. A lot of this is going to depend on camps because Tammy Brown over at the primary is in charge of the satellite distributions of food. And Betty Cooper at the elementary is in charge of the preparation of the food at that one location. Normally we go to various campuses, parks, anywhere where kids are congregating, maybe like summer school. And with the COVID-19 situation, I'm not quite sure exactly how many of these camps will still be in session this summer, but we will catch any and all that are, and we'll provide those meals to them. On page 73 is the chart that shows you the meals that were served each year, and you see that graph growing. So this year, if trends uphold, would be in excess of 20,000 meals. But don't go to the bank on that yet. As far as the gains, we have experienced gains instead of losses on the food service program for summer for the past 3 fiscal years in a row. We commend our food service department, Gail, and all of our staff that work extremely hard. They've been working hard ever since spring break on these feedings that we do, elementary and primary, and we're very proud of these folks. They put in a lot of hours, and several of them put in an extensive amount of overtime, and we cut back in the certainly go a long way to helping smooth out the amount of hours that they're having to put in. Sodexo, obviously is involved. Gail's in charge of the program, and we have several different cafeteria staff that work different days during the summer, in accordance with the schedule that was already outlined before the fiscal year even started. Let's see, the Boys and Girls Club was the largest group that we served last year, and passed up the participation hold for 2020. That could be 8,000 meals that we provide them. Has that been confirmed, Gail?
We're just not sure where the summer meeting's gonna go, but, we will continue to feed the Boys and Girls Club. We're currently feeding them breakfast and lunch. She's got a limited opening right now, so we're taking care of them for breakfast and lunch right now. We'll continue the partnership with them.
All right. So last year, they took one day off, July 4th. That's how it fell. This year, there are no days off. July 4th, I guess, falls on a weekend, and they're serving every single day. And that starts Tuesday, May 26th, and goes through Friday, August 14th. 5 days a week, breakfast and lunch, not dinner. Any questions about the summer feeding program and the plans that we have?
Questions? Gail, we just want to thank everyone who's involved in the feeding now and in the summer. It's hard work. We appreciate it. Let's tell them.
Yeah, thank you very much. They're a good group.
They are.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, board.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. We'll move on to the action items of the alternate graduation plan.
Okay, thanks, Mary Ann. So, as you probably saw last Friday, Governor Abbott came on and held a press conference and gave a plan, a pretty detailed plan as far as trying to reopen the state, but he weighed in on schools specifically, and it was too risky from his standpoint and what the medical community is saying to come back to physical school. And so it was kind of a fear that a lot of us were expecting. We get it, we understand why. Everybody I talk to, parents, students, they understand it. And they are really pretty reasonable about why it happened. And so, but now we've got to come up with a plan for what are we going to do for some of these big things that happen in May. And so the biggest being graduation. And so for quite some time, you know, we've already been planning this. We knew that it was unlikely that we would return. The public has been good about sharing different ideas, you know, through social media, or they'll call or text me. They probably call, text you, give you ideas, and it really the other districts around the country have come up with some pretty innovative things. And so we've been trying to mimic a lot of those things as well. And so I'll give you kind of a rundown of what we're thinking. And this has changed a couple of times even today. And so we're trying to come up with a plan that first and foremost is will keep the students safe and the families. That's priority number one. We don't want to have a situation where we get people lumped together and it spreads or transmits that virus. And so, first of all, if by some miracle things clear up and the cases go away and there's no more spread and it just kind of disappears, we'll have graduation on the 22nd of May at the stadium. You know, that would be the ideal situation. It's still far enough out to where, you know, that's a possibility. I talked with a group of parents today, about 20 parents. We had a Zoom meeting, and, you know, that would be ideal if it just all went away and cleared up and we could do it on the day that we intended to. The backup plan, first backup plan would be, well, let's say it stays the way it is. That you keep getting more cases here and there and it's just too risky. What we planned on doing is setting up the stage on the football field like we normally do, having the game clock set at 2020, just like we always do, so the backdrop and everything looks the same, and inviting each senior individually with their family, immediate family, probably about 4 or 5 family members, up to the football field, have the parent hand the diploma to the student. So in other words, we would have a professional video specialist at the field. We contract with Clever Guys Media every year. They record our graduation. So we've already talked to Colin, and he said I'd be glad to come up there however many days it takes to record each student going across the stage individually. Mom, dad, hand the diploma to the student. They can hug or whatever. We'll take photographs and video of it. As our medical professionals have said, it's within family units. If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. But we're trying to keep the families away from us and away from the other families during that recording. So what would happen would be is after we've gone through all the different students walking across the stage individually with their family member giving them the diploma, we would splice that into a movie. And so we'll have the valedictorian come up and he'll read his speech, we'll record it. We'll have the salutatorian read his speech, we'll record it. Different kids will give prayers, benedictions, things like that, we'll record it. We've had Miss Wells, our choir director, she's already got her senior students working on a song that they'll each sing individually, but she'll splice it together into one song. Jose's working with the band to get some pre-recording of our different, like our school song and things. So what will happen is that movie will look just like graduation if you're watching it being streamed. It had the same order, same everything. And then what we would do on Thursday, May 21st, that's Thursday, we would ask every senior, one vehicle per senior. They'd each get a ticket. And so those 200 seniors would come to the primary parking lot, and that would be our staging area. And Chief Golke would help us, along with our SROs and policemen, to get them a police escort from the primary to the drive-in theater. Now, I've been talking with the Palmer family for a couple of 3 weeks now about the possibility of using the drive-in to play the graduation film. And they've been very gracious and said, we'd love to do it. And so that night, in the evening, we would have a police procession getting those 200 seniors and their families, remember, one vehicle per student, up to the drive-in, safely into the drive-in, watch the video, probably be about an hour. We'll probably have a drone above in the sky taking some video footage of all those seniors there together in their vehicles one last time. And then that would be an opportunity for them to be together one more time. Now, one thing I noticed that Temple did just today, they're going to have their graduation either virtually or in person. They've already set the date. But they said, well, if we still have tight regulations on all the COVID and the social distancing and gathering, we're going to try to come back later in the summer, like in August. They've already set a date in August for a senior celebration at the Expo Center. And so I like that idea. I think that might be something that we want to consider too. So again, first of all, the best case scenario is this all clears up and we go to the stadium on May 22nd. That may not happen though. The backup plan is we're going to start working immediately on the film for the virtual graduation that would happen on May 21st at 8:30 at the drive-in theater. Remember, the kids would get the police procession down there. And then if the poor seniors kind of get gypped and they have to do that through the movie theater, maybe having a celebration sometime maybe in August where we rent out the Civic Center or something, and hopefully by then there wouldn't be any social distancing guidelines, they could all come together. But even then, we may not be out of the woods. You know, it would be something where we would set it up to have one last chance. The parents kind of went back and forth. A lot of the parents would really like to have graduation in June, July, or August. And we talked, it was kind of split. There were some that understood why, and some that were pretty adamant about, well, we really want it in the summer. The downside to that is a lot of our kids leave. They have to, if they're joining the military, they're gone, or different things, and so we worry about them. So if we didn't have a graduation per se late in the summer, but we had a celebration, we want to make sure we get everybody graduated at some point here fairly soon before they all scatter to the wind. That's what we're worried about. And then to give those kids one last chance to see each other in person, maybe have a celebration later in the summer. So thoughts on that? We've tried to incorporate the drive-in theater, walking across the stage, a procession, a police kind of procession from one point A to point B, which actually that's safer for all of us to approach the movie theater from one direction. Because at one point you may be thinking, well, why stage at the primary if you're just going to go to the theater? That's not that far away. Well, it's better from a safety standpoint to all be coming from the one direction. That will help the police force. So that's kind of what we're thinking. You talk to 10 different people, you get 10 different ideas, but people have been very gracious. I spoke with the Coryell Health folks today, David Byram, Jeff Mincy, Dr. Bates, talked to J.D. Sheffield, talked to Mayor Chumbley, we've got the city manager, police chief, Chief Vaden, Roger Miller. So they all know about this, what we're planning. And I wanted, especially the health folks, to weigh in on it. You know, I asked them, is it too risky for us to call each senior up there and have them walk across the stage with their immediate family? And they said, no, you know, if you do it right, if you stand back, if me or Dr. Sanderson, we're not going to hand any diploma to you. It's got to be your family member. We're going to stand back. We'll be in the background. You walk across the stage, we're going to be away from you. There shouldn't be a lot of, we're outside, there shouldn't be a lot of close confines, so it should keep everyone safe. Now, it will be extremely time consuming. It'll be a lot of effort, and it may take several days to get everybody through there. But we're willing to do it for the poor kids that are missing out. You know, Dr. Sanderson and I will have to wear the same suit for 3 or 4 days in a row. But we're hoping that we can get it done. And so, what are your thoughts on that plan?
Everybody speak up at once.
It sounds like a workable plan for an unfortunate, situation. I think you're really bending over backwards to do the best you can. I don't know. What about everybody else?
This is Linda. I just wonder if there's a possibility of having a backup plan for graduation in the summer, like Temple.
I
This
think
is a big event for a lot of these students.
I don't remember where it was. It was one of the police schools or somebody. They had a parade where the parents lined the side of the road and the kids came down the middle of the road, their cars decorated up. And
Yeah.
I was wondering if we would have the opportunity maybe to do that, if they could block off Main Street from the overpass to Business 36 there by McDonald's. No traffic would have to stop, but they could divert down Business 36 to Walmart if they're going east on 84 and just come right back up there again. You know, we wouldn't hold up any traffic.
It's,
Well, that was great. I don't know what you do about getting their diplomas to them unless you hand it to them in the car when they drive by or something. I don't know.
right. In talking with all the city and county people, because I'd already reached out to Daniel Crowther at CCC, and he was very gracious. He said, use my parking lot as a staging area. That's fine. We'll even decorate it for you. But in talking with the city, that's a little too far of a jaunt, I think, for them to get 200 kids, 200 cars from point A to point B. And so they wanted it to be closer. Now, to answer your question, yeah, if we go from primary to the movie theater, the kids can decorate their cars. Of course, we wouldn't want stuff sticking out to where you're not going to be able to see past it at the theater. but they could decorate the cars and do all that. One thing I noticed, I saw some of those pictures too, Rob, from this weekend about one of the local districts had a parade. What I noticed though that we've got to be careful about is several cars had 7 or 8 seniors in the same car. And if we're going to do that, we might as well come on back to school, because at that point you're all together sharing your germs, and you've kind of defeated the point. And so, but with this processional, it'll be a kid with their family, so I think that will be a lot better.
Do you really think all those kids are gonna stay in their cars at the movies?
Well, that's the problem too. So I told, you know, that's one of the things we talked about in, like with the summer graduation, you know, if they've already got their diplomas, are they gonna come back again in June or July? For the ones that aren't gonna be here, you know, that we just go ahead and tell you, well, you're out of luck. You know, I don't know. Do we sacrifice 20 or 30 of them that aren't gonna be able to come during the summer and say, well, that's just too bad. We're gonna do it then. You know, like I said, if things, as the weeks tick by, again, if we could have it normally at the end of May, that would be great. If it's really reducing and slacking up, we might be able to set another date later on. We'd prefer not to, you know, do 2 or 3 different ceremonies. We'd like to at some point get it over with, you know. So what other thoughts do y'all have?
My thoughts are this.
Go outside, run around. You want some shorts?
Brenda?
You know, Brenda, mute your mic.
There we go.
Okay. I kind of like the idea of the filming. Each student gets something out of that. People will come back to the football field in the middle of the summer, whatever, for the ones that can to have a real graduation. Kids, that's most important thing. Is actual walking across the stage and, you know, doing it the traditional way.
Say that again, David. I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm sorry. There was some background noise.
Yeah, I can hear you too. I like the idea of the filming at the stadium of the families. That's gonna be pretty lengthy and hard to do, I think, but not crazy about the picture show ideal. But I would like to see them come back to the stadium middle of the summer, whenever, end of the summer, and have a traditional graduation for all the ones that can. For the ones that it means the most to, they'll be there. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. And tonight,
Definitely,
go ahead, Shane.
I definitely would like them to come back together to see each other again, even in the summer, even if a few can't.
Uh-huh.
I think that, I mean, that'll be sad if they can't, but I think you pick a date on it. Supposedly some, I know there's one that somebody said is going into the military, but they said that they're giving them maybe even some permission with all that's going on to be excused to go back and join in on whatever the school offers. So I really think they need a chance to get back together, whether you call it a celebration or another graduation. They can do it. I think maybe they can vote on that, but I think it definitely needs to happen again.
If we, you know, as far as the videotaping the graduation, I guess there's the inherent risk of the summer. I guess we go ahead, we need to have some sort of virtual graduation ready. I guess, do y'all agree with that in case June, July?
Yes.
Because June, July, August, if we're still in the same boat we're in now, we may not be able to do what we're, you know, we may not be able to come back and do it.
You can always cancel it if you can't do it, but at least if you have something on it. But I love the
of what y'all have planned. I thought it was just fantastic. Great memory for them, considering.
It would depend on whether the group, the number that a group can be at that point. You know, it might be 50 or it might be 10. I mean, like it is now, but so it would, of course, be determined by that, Barrett, I guess.
Yeah.
Even if you plan something.
I'm getting some texts of parents that are in favor of the parade, so just 2 cents there.
Uh-huh.
You want to go ahead and vote on the virtual situation that you're talking about?
Yeah, so does everybody, I guess, feel good about the virtual one, that we need to have that just in case they never let up on the restrictions to where we can't ever get out to the football field? If the governor...
Yes, because even if you get to go on the football field, they'll have that video and it'll be pretty awesome, that's for them to have.
Yeah.
Any idea how many days that would require?
To film it all?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, but it's gonna be a whole lot of work. It's gonna be a lot of work.
I was just wondering the time limit there that you need to focus on, you know, to have enough time to do that.
Yeah, it might take up to a week, you know, just to spread it out and to do it.
May even, if it's possible at that, you know, if we string that out a week, we may run into some rain.
Yeah, oh yeah. We talked about that as our administrative team. I'd rather, I think, do it outside during good days, as opposed to doing it inside just from a germ standpoint, being out in the open air, as opposed to being confined in a building. But, so, I guess, do we want to vote on this in parts? So, I can make one recommendation. So, I guess my first recommendation would be, do we go ahead and film a backup graduation virtually to where we play it at some point to make sure that the kids get graduated no matter what's going on with COVID. So in other words, that's our backup to where if everything else goes haywire as far as COVID, where we're still hunkered down, you've at least got a way to graduate.
That's a nice gift for the kids.
Okay. Does everybody, any other discussion about that?
So, who wants to make the motion for that?
I will.
Anybody? Diane? Okay, second? I'll second it.
Brenda.
Brenda seconds it, okay. Any more discussion? So instead of everybody saying yes, just tell me if you want to vote no or abstain. How about that? Okay. Everybody hear that? All right, motion carries. Okay, and then Barrett, you want to go ahead and think about the other
Yeah, let's go
situation?
ahead and take it in pieces and get it all out there. So the second part would be, okay, you've got your video in hand now, you've got a little movie. Do you feel good about us staging at the primary, having a police procession down to the drive-in theater and playing it there? So in theory, there are 300 parking spots at the drive-in. Of course, that would be packed in there like sardines. There's 200 graduates. So what we would say is have 200 tickets, one for each student, one family per vehicle. We know that, that's not ideal. Sometimes there are families that have split up. Mom and dad may not be together, but I don't know that we can offer 2 tickets per kid. That would be too many. So that would be the second suggestion. So the recommendation would be, if we have a film, the venue that we would play it through would be staging at primary, police procession down to the theater, and playing it there the night of Thursday, May 21st. Thoughts on that?
Okay, so that's your recommendation for us to vote on.
And then we'll talk about what to do in the summer.
Okay. again, or any more discussion?
You know, Barry, if you're concerned about the numbers, where you had split families, if you have an inside graduation, don't you limit the numbers then?
Yes,
So
Yes.
same thing.
yeah.
Okay, again, instead of saying yes, tell me if you want to vote no or abstain. Okay, motion carries. Okay, Barrett.
So then the third and final part would be, so it's the dates that we do it. So again, ideally, all this clears up and we do it Friday, May 22nd at the stadium. No restrictions, everybody's all on top of each other and we're all happy. That's number one. Number two is that it's still around and we go ahead and have the virtual graduation at the drive-in that Thursday before, the 21st. But because that's kind of a short-changing deal for the kids, have something in the summer. Now, I guess the question there is that do we have to have a full-blown graduation again? Or would it be enough consolation for the parents to have some sort of senior celebration to where we rent the Civic Center or we do something on the football field, but some sort of celebratory type atmosphere for those kids and even their family. You know, we had even mentioned if it was still being restricted during the summer, Dr. Sanderson had talked about, do we even invite them back for the first football game and do something that Saturday right after that or something of that nature. So what do y'all think about, what's hard to predict is it June? Is it July? Is it August? You know, another thing, I don't want to back y'all too much in a corner right now. I think what we're voting on tonight are some kind of pretty firm preliminary plans. But let's say, for instance, the commissioner comes on tomorrow and has some fantastic idea. Or maybe the governor swoops in and nixes something and says, all graduations set for drive-in cinemas are no longer allowed. We've got to be fluid enough to where we can come back and say, okay, the governor has said this, we got to have a special meeting and call you guys back again for some more guidance. So again, that's that caveat that tonight is our best laid efforts, our best plans for the future, but you never can tell what's going to happen. You know, if the pandemic clears up totally, or if it starts raging and ratchets up and we're all sick, we've got to have a plan either way. So what are your thoughts about the summer? Are you okay with the celebration? Or do you think it has to be a full-blown graduation again?
No, I think a celebration.
Well, I don't think the Civic Center's gonna be big enough.
For the senior,
Couldn't you do it at football field again?
we could.
I think that's what you'd have to do, is, how many people will the Civic Center hold?
I'm trying to think, during the father-daughter dance, we had a lot of people in there. I'd have to ask Sherry Shepherd how many exactly.
And they probably got a limit, don't they, on
They do, yeah,
occupancy?
right.
Yes.
We'd have to be careful with that.
So we could do the football field.
Yes.
So I guess we could set a date sometime in the summer to where maybe things are back to normal as far as restrictions. See, Temple, they set a date, I believe it was like August the 8th, way into August. And so I don't know if we want to set that or maybe towards the end of July, but I may come back to you guys with a more specific date, but maybe right now my recommendation would be we have a third backup date in the summer of a celebration for the kids to come in one last time all together. We could feed them, whatever. So that's my recommendation. I won't pin us down on a date. I'll say a date in the summer.
So this is an action item, you want us to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
Does it have to be a motion for a celebration? Can we leave it
I probably need to get some guidance here pretty soon. Again, I don't want y'all to feel like if the governor, the president, the commissioner of education swoops in and says something like, go ahead, Texas Public School Districts, you can have whatever graduation you want. At that point, you know, we would come back. Of course, I would always lean on what the medical professionals want first off. You know, I think I need some sort of guidance on what's coming next, because the parents are getting anxious for some sort of finality. I think they know the decision you make is not going to make 100% of people happy. So you might as well get used to that notion. So
Will we benefit from, when is our next meeting? I mean, I know it's next month, how far from here?
next meeting, Marcy says it's like May the 20th.
You need to have Plan C in place prior to that.
May 18th.
May 18th.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. I mean, they know what's gonna happen with graduation by then.
Yeah.
Graduation's that Friday.
I don't know, I mean, Plan C won't hurt, and we can leave a lot of things up in the air as to the date and exactly what we're gonna do until the next meeting, and then if Plan A and Plan B both fall through because of the weather or whatever on that particular Thursday night, it never fails, you know, tornadoes blow through that time of year.
Right.
Then we definitely need to have a Plan C.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know, I mean, kids are gonna get back in the middle of the summer or late in the summer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess nobody will know until you actually do it and see. But it's like somebody said, well, the people that wanna come back, they'll be there.
Yeah.
The people that wanna get together will be there.
So,
I think we have a motion for the celebration that we have to either vote yes or no on. So is there a second for that motion?
I tell you what, Marianne, I
What do you
can,
want?
I can adjust it a little bit. If we want to say to just leave it a little bit more open-ended so more time can pass, I'll come back. So what I'm asking you is that I'm going to start working on one date in the summer, sometime in June, July, maybe even August, to where the kids would come back for something, either a celebration or a quasi-graduation type thing. I don't think I can guarantee a full-blown everything, but something, or a celebration, sometime in the summer.
That recommendation to what you just said.
Yes, so it's just kind of loosening up a little bit.
Okay. So, who made that, motion? Was it David?
Benjamin.
Yep. David, okay. And now who wants to second it now? Rob, okay. Rob will second it. Any other questions or discussions? So it's more about with
Wait a
you
second.
being able. Yeah, David?
Yeah, there's a person just texted me, I don't know how this would affect anything. Something about May the 18th is a date the senior athletes are recognized for academic all-state. Would that have any effect on what we're talking about?
No.
No, not,
That's just our board meeting.
That's our board meeting.
yeah.
Okay. I just got a text on that, I didn't know just relaying it.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna have a hard time getting all the kids in just to film them, even now, because a lot of them with no school, they may already be out of town.
And for the kids that don't show, we'll put a still graduation photo in their place. So we've got their yearbook photo. We can, if they can't make it, we'll put that in there.
Let's have our vote on, Barrett's recommendation of planning something. And if you do not want it, or you want to abstain, say something now. Okay, motion carries. Barrett? We're good there?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, that text you got, David, it brings up a good point. There's a lot of other things in May that our students do, from scholarship night to award ceremonies to NHS banquet to baccalaureate. And so all those different things, we're trying to come up with some sort of virtual substitute. Now, it's not going to be as involved as graduation. We can't recreate every event for them, but we're trying to do the best we can. So, for example, we'll issue out these dates later, but one night when we typically have our scholarship night, what we'll do is we will have a recording of the high school administrative team reading out the scholarships and which students received them. So, for example, you start MJ Hanna Foundation, scholarship for $10,000 goes to John Smith, and then you go to the next one. And so we would stream that out one night. We'll advertise it so the kids and the parents can watch it from Facebook or the website and see what they got. Same with awards. Another night we'll pick for awards. So it'll all be senior awards. So a student, whoever was the top AP biology student, they'll read out the name and the award. And so we're trying to do some things like that to at least help salvage some of their most important events.
Barry,
Yes.
you and I don't know who all, y'all are doing a great job. Y'all are putting a lot of thought to this, trying to make the best of a very bad situation.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult job. Thank you.
It is. It's tough to try to recreate everything. And at the end of the day, what the kids are going to have to come to the understanding, and even the parents, is that you kind of got gypped out of some good stuff.
You know what I told one kid? This is one graduation you will definitely remember.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very special in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it'll be very different, very unique, I hope. So we'll keep working on it, and but this will give a more definitive plan to the parents and the kids to kind of know what's going on going forward. And
they need dates.
yeah. So we'll come up with that third summer date then, and kind of start advertising that as well. But we'll leave it a little bit open just because we need to have a little bit of flexibility based on what this virus does, and then what the state and federal government does in response, and local government. So, well, I appreciate you guys. I know y'all filled a lot of questions and text and emails, and a lot of folks, they have great ideas. It's just trying to get it all together to make something good for the kids.
We do appreciate all the
Sure.
Are you ready for the MOU?
I am.
ISD and Tarleton?
I sure am. This is a good one here. So Dr. Sanderson and I met with the president of Tarleton and his vice president by Zoom, and Dr. James Hurley, extremely nice guy, and Dr. Javier Garza. They're the leaders there at Tarleton and Stephenville, and they made mention that our Gatesville students that go to Tarleton do very well. He was very complimentary of our kids that go up to Stephenville. He said they've got a good record of performing well there. They don't all drop out or waste away. They stay in it, they get their degrees, and they do a great job. And so he was very complimentary. And so basically the gist of this is we're not out any money. Tarleton is trying to make a effort with their foundation money not to invest it so much in buildings and things like that, but they want to make tuition more affordable. And so they used to be one of the most affordable colleges in the state, like the top 5. And they've kind of dropped out of that, and they're trying to get back up there. And so what Dr. Hurley was suggesting is that we partner with Tarleton and become a official partner high school with them. And so basically what that means is our kids will get more scholarship money from them. So if you graduate in the top 10% of your class, you typically get between $2,000 and $4,000. If we become a partnership school, they add $1,000 to those amounts. If you're in the top quarter, you typically get between $1,000 and $2,000, and they would add $500 to those amounts. So depending on your rank and your overall aptitude, you get anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 a year for up to 4 years if you go to Tarleton, if you qualify for their scholarships. And so I kind of asked James, well, what's the catch? What do we have to do for this? He said, not much. He said, basically allow Tarleton to come and advertise it to our kids. They already come down here. They often have their Tarleton mobile lab come and they help our kids fill out college applications, FAFSA information. And so Dr. Hurley even wanted to speak directly to our students. He grew up in the coal mines of Kentucky, first person in his family to go to college. And so when he talks to kids, he said they're amazed that this guy can become a college, university president, anybody can. And he kind of laughed about that, but he's got a very motivating story. And so he just wants to encourage our kids to come. The other good thing is that students that graduate in the top 25% of their class receive automatic admission to Tarleton regardless of their SAT or ACT. So Tarleton is really trying to push their enrollment, give more money to the kids, and all we have to do in return is kind of partner with them and give them access to the kids for some advertising and for the president to talk to them. It's a win-win situation. So my recommendation is that the board approve the MOU with Tarleton so that students in the top 25% can receive automatic admission as well as additional scholarship dollars to Tarleton.
I'll second it.
Who, did Rob make it?
Yes.
Did Rob say yes?
Alderson
Yeah.
second.
Make a motion?
Uh-huh. Rob?
Yours,
Yes.
second?
Charles second.
All right, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor, are you, okay, let's just do, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, Brittany, yes.
Okay. Any noes or abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Thanks, Barrett.
You bet.
And next we have the extension of the resolution. Marcia?
Last month, I'm sure all of you remember, y'all passed a resolution so that we could continue paying our employees that have annualized, that were full-time employees for a period of 4 weeks, which is what our lawyer recommended at that time. And so the 4 weeks is up, and we need for you to extend that resolution. When I wrote this board agenda item, the governor had not issued the closure. So I think Dr. Pollard had said something about possibly extending it. Was that what you wanted, Barrett?
Yes, go ahead and for the rest of the school year because our teachers can't go back to the physical classroom to teach kids in the classroom. Now, of course, they're coming up and doing remote lessons and things like that, though, working.
So that would continue through the rest of the school year if you would vote on, or we are recommending that you extend this resolution as you adopted last board meeting to GISD policy DEA local until the rest of the school year.
What does that do to your maintenance personnel through the summer and stuff like that? Are they already covered, or do we need to extend it through the summer because we know we're not going back?
I think,
Maintenance people and
yeah.
people like that work through the summer.
Yeah, this would, Marcia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this would include everybody, all maintenance, cafeteria. Isn't that correct, Marcia, everyone?
Yes, it is, and we could make it through the summer for as long as the emergency closure exists. And then we do have some maintenance staff working on individual items, but if the closure caused them to not be able to work, this resolution would pass that if we said, I guess, through the end of their school calendar, whatever calendar that would be.
Yeah, we
It's
could.
not gonna affect a whole lot of people during the summer.
No, sir, it's not. It mainly would be maintenance and custodial.
And of course, principals and like
Yes.
the office staff at the admin building, they work through the summer.
The recommendation is through the summer, through the calendar. Would you, correct, Marcia?
Through the end of the government mandated shutdown.
Yes,
Yeah.
for all of those calendars that worked.
And what we will revert back to our
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, I understand what you mean. Is there a motion for this recommendation?
I'll second it, Brenda.
David made it and Brenda seconded. Okay, any more
Cheyenne
questions?
made it,
David
David made it.
and then Brenda.
All those in favor?
Rob.
Brenda, yes.
David, yes.
Linda? Okay.
Earl, yes.
Okay. All right, motion carries. All right, thank you, Marcia. Now we're going to the revised grading period, or grading policy. Barry?
Yes, I wanted to keep y'all in the loop on this. Of course, this really, our board policy on grading is not this specific. It kind of delegates things to us, but I wanted to go ahead and keep, of course, you guys in the loop and to get your blessing on what we're doing. So, you know, school was uninterrupted all the way up to spring break, and that had a nice clean ending to the third 9 weeks. And so we got the first, second, and third 9 weeks all wrapped up. In fact, our kids got their report card for their third 9 weeks about a few days ago, last week. And so that was good because it had a clean ending as far as class rank, GPA, A honor roll, AB honor roll. We said, okay, those first 3 9 weeks, that's what's going to count. Now this fourth quarter, this weird time where the kids are working from home, what do? You know, can we just stop and not have any more work and not do any more grades? And the state of Texas said, no, you can't do that. You know, and our families were pretty understanding of that. And so what we came up with was something very simplistic to try to help the kids and be successful. And so just very simplistically, there's no major grades, there's no test project grades where you've got this big rigmarole. We're taking one daily grade in each subject every week. And so we had 7 weeks left. And so you would accumulate 7 daily grades, and then the teacher's going to drop the 2 lowest. And so we take your 5 highest grades, add them up, and divide by 5. And that's your average for the fourth quarter. Now these grades, they don't impact, again, class rank, GPA. Are you going to make the A or B honor roll? Because kids are at a disadvantage. They're at home. Some of them don't have very good internet. You know, they don't have access to stuff. Mom and dad are working. I can't help you right now. Just do the best you can. And so we didn't want it to penalize them that way. But all that being said, they do still have to do the work. They've got to do a little bit of work in order to get credit for this fourth quarter. And again, basically, if you get 5 good grades during the first 5 weeks, you're pretty much already home. And so until we put in a grading, just to give you an idea of just human nature, once we said, well, we're going to take a grade on this, attendance in Google Classroom doubled. So what does that tell you? Until we were going to take a grade, a lot of kids weren't going to do anything, right? And so we had to do something. And so we wanted it to be very simplistic to where if you do a little bit of work, you'll be okay. I had a father today ask me, well, I guess will they all be retained? They'll all have to do the 6th grade over again or the 4th or whatever grade they're in. I said, oh no. If they were on track and doing well the first 3 quarters and do a little bit of work this last quarter, the vast 99% of them are going to go on to the next grade. And so, you know, that we're trying to get the word out to parents on that. And so that was kind of where we're at as far as the grading. We've added some Wi-Fi to the primary parking lot to help kids who don't have internet. They can come up to the parking lot and use our free visitor internet. And so, again, we don't want them to congregate up there. We've got paper packets for kids as a last resort. We don't like a lot of paper shuffling, but if you just absolutely can't do anything else, use the paper. And that's kind of the system we have in place right now. So my recommendation is that the board approve this revised grading policy as presented for the fourth quarter, and then everything will go back to normal. This is just for 1 quarter to get the kids through it, and then we'll go back to our normal routine.
Recommendation, is there a motion? favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, is that everybody, I think? Alright. So motion carries. Okay, Mary.
Right.
Now you're going to the, recommended cafeteria meal prices, Mr. Frazier?
Yes, ma'am.
You're on.
At this time of year, we set our meal prices for the following school year. And to that end, we develop a little comparison with ourselves and other districts in the area. So the charts that you have in your board packet, starting, I guess, on page 90, the left side is last year's prices, and the right side is the current year prices, 19 and 20. You'll see Gatesville ISD highlighted in gold, and all the other comparison districts are in blue. So it always kind of helps us to see where we stand vis-a-vis these other districts in our area as we make this decision. And then on page 93, I have furthermore provided you the breakfast and lunch meal prices for the grades pre-K to K3 and grades 4 to 12 and adult. Even have their reduced student price starting with the fiscal year 04-05. Last year we froze the meal prices, and I am recommending that we again, especially in view of the circumstances in which we find ourselves, that we continue to freeze those prices for one more year. So that's, I don't see really any real benefit to jacking those up at this particular time. Everyone is being hit pretty hard as it is. So that's my recommendation.
Is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
Brenda, thank you. Second? Rob. Okay. Any more questions? All those in favor, say yes.
Yes, Brenda.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, motion carries. Thanks, Mr. Frazier.
Okay, thank you.
And Sodexo, that is you too.
Okay. Again, at this time of year, we review our contract with Sodexo as our food service management company. And we are currently under a 5-year contract with Sodexo. Next school year will represent year 5. So a year from now, we will be in a position where we will need to submit all of these to bid. We'll actually get an earlier start of the year to effect that process. The contract that we've been presented is called the Fourth Amendment, and it starts on page 96 of your board book. One of the great things that Sodexo has done for us is they've actually froze the rates that they charge to us, the meal rates. So you'll see it on page 96. Those are the meal equivalents, and we're very appreciative of the freezing of those rates for another year. This particular contract has gone through legal at Sodexo. Now it will go through you as a board, and then we will have to submit this next few days to the Texas Department of Agriculture for their approval. And then at that point, then once they approve, we're set where all parties can sign off on the agreement. I did receive a little bit of an alarming email Friday from Sodexo. On page 99, Exhibit I, very first item there is the financial guarantee. You'll look at that. And we've had this ever since we started with Sodexo. Never have we had to require that Sodexo come up with any part of their guarantee, because our losses have fallen far short of the benchmark that would force Sodexo then to reimburse us the guaranteed amount. So the guarantee is basically a loss of 166,290. So once we reach that amount of loss, which we haven't done in the last 5 years, then Sodexo would guarantee the next 75,000 loss. In view of COVID, obviously Sodexo is a little uncomfortable and very concerned about the outlook of the food service program. And I'm sure in view of the fact that we, as a school district and you as a board, have agreed to continue all of the wages for the cafeteria workers, even though they're not working. And that started basically right after the spring break week. So they're looking at the month of March, the month of April, and the month of May. So we got 3 months worth of labor charges that we're incurring while most of the cafeteria staff is at home. Under normal circumstances, if this was a restaurant or private business, all of these employees would probably be furloughed and they would be subject to filing for unemployment. So now Sodexo, I'm sure, is concerned that there may be the possibility that we may have to go into their guaranteed amount, and they've actually requested that we waive this guaranteed amount. Since this is an actual revision of the contract, as we've had this in here ever since we started with them, I called Texas Department of Agriculture today, this morning. I've not heard back. Since they have to approve our contract with the Food Service Management Company, I feel that it's in our best interest to get their approval before we move on with waiving such, with the request that Sodexo's made of us. I don't know what they're gonna do. My guess is they'll probably leave it up to the school district. So that would be a change in this contract and the current contract. They're requesting that this provision be removed from even our current contract that we're on. What do you think?
So are you saying table this?
No, I'm saying they want the contract without this guarantee.
But you're waiting to hear.
But I think, I don't have any word from TDA because our contract has to be approved through TDA.
So what do we do?
Probably approve it subject to the approval of TDA. What I would suggest.
Just your recommendation.
And, this is very unusual times. There's no way that, that we're gonna be able to meet the original assumptions that this company put forth when they built this model. And I can certainly understand their position, and especially in view of the fact that we have continued to pay all of our laborers during the time of school closure.
Your recommendation is the Fourth Amendment on July 1st, with pending the approval of the TDA. Tell me your recommendation.
My recommendation is that we approve agreement number 4 with the understanding that the guarantee of 75,000 will be removed and will be subject to the approval of TDA.
He needs to.
Okay, is there a motion for that recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Brenda, second?
I'll second.
I'll second. Cheyenne, did you say that?
I did, sorry.
Okay. Second, Diane, and, are there any questions before we vote? Okay, all those in favor, let me hear you say yes.
Brenda, yes.
Okay.
David, yes.
Bob, yes.
Okay. Mary Ann, yes. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Thank you. Thank you, Board.
yes, again, we don't have closed executive session this meeting, and so there wasn't anything that we really needed to discuss. There's not anything for action. It's just information only, some items, but we've been basically doing a little bit of interviewing during this time, and we've had a few openings come open, but we've also hired a few good people too, so we're making good progress on filling jobs as they do come open. And so again, it's nothing to act on tonight, just wanted to touch base with you.
Okay, are there any questions from anybody? Okay, thank you. Is there any future business that we need to bring up for next time? Anybody? Eric, anything for you? Charles?
Earlier, I had seen something about discussion on the erosion on the cross-country track. Was that just an information thing, or am I dreaming that?
To come back to you on like a report or something?
No, just something I just read something about it, and I actually went up there and walked on it today, and I'll see where it is. Is that just something you're making us aware of? I wasn't sure.
I didn't send y'all anything, but I tell you what, I can have our maintenance guys go out there and look at it. You know, with summer coming and grass and weeds coming, this will be our first big spring, summer where we have to really combat the weeds and stuff coming up through that material. So I'll have them go out there and look at that.
Well, it's on the south end down there where the water goes underneath.
Yeah.
You know, the big rain the other day, and it came over the road, and it eroded a good bit of the gravel. It didn't look to me like it washed any of the base away.
Yeah.
Just some of the gravel looked like it might need some attention. I thought I read something somewhere in the packet about that.
Okay. We need to get on, there was a grant winner, Coach Kelly received a foundation grant to get some lighting out there. And so, we're gonna get that going, and that'll be good because so many people use that track. It'd be good if there was a little bit of lighting in some of those remote areas. We could also wish David Bryan and Mason Edwards some congratulations. David was valedictorian and Mason was salutatorian. Two great kids, and they did a great job.
Barry,
Yeah.
on that lighting, I've been looking at some pretty neat looking solar powered
Yeah.
light on poles. I don't know if that's what y'all are thinking or not.
That's what we're looking at, solar, yeah.
Any more future agenda items? I'm sorry.
Motion adjourned.
Okay. We are adjourned. See you next time. Good luck, everybody.
Thank y'all.